don't try to break new boundaries. Try to do what already worked once and do it on repeat.
Hello, everyone, and hello, Carl. Today we are at another episode of the best podcast out there, the Coach Tribe podcast, and I am so honored to have you here with us today. Hello and welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself to our guests?
Yeah, of course. Hi, and so nice to meet with you. And hi, everyone there. My name is Karl Lillrud, and I've been working within this field of helping both individuals and companies grow faster for 25 years. Right now, we're at the eCommerce Expo where I just did a keynote about how to prepare better for the future. But today, with you, we're going to talk about how you guys can prepare better for the future and how to scale your business and become a better coach connected to your customers, like who's consuming your product.
I love this. And today we're going to take you all on a journey. We're going to start from the 0 point. Let's say point A, and we're going to go to point B, who knows, maybe even point Z. And the idea that we're going to really look into what it takes to get started on your coaching journey and what to do next if you're already started, if you have 5 years in, if you're looking for those high ticket clients, and how you can actually grow personally and professionally. So, Carl, where do we get started? Where should coaches look at the first time? What should they keep in mind?
Yeah, at first, I think you need to look at yourself. Like, why are you or why do you want to be a coach? What is it that you have that other people would benefit from? And to some of you, you already had that narrowed down. But to many people that want to become a coach, you need to think a little bit about what in your history, your background, is it that you can bring forward to inspire other people. And with that, you can start to build a product because people are interested in a coach to get them to positions where they're not right now and that they need help with. But then also we're so used to buying off the shelf. So in a way, we need to package it as a product. So when I talk to potential clients and I, in a way, feel their pulse, sometimes I say, yeah, I want to understand more of what it is that you're looking for before I can say if I'm the right person for you. And in a way, that also builds trust because trust is what it's all about. You can't be a good coach if the people that you're coaching is not trusting you. You have to have a little bit of a background. You have to have some history to validate that whatever message you have is relevant to them. And as you start this journey, try to think of how you can package that within some sort of box or product so that it's easier for your consumers to consume your product, but maybe not actually consume, but to buy your product. Because when you get into the coaching with these clients, for sure, you will tailor things. So the product itself is just to get your clients an idea of what they can expect from you.
Got it. And now, because you touched on this idea of niching down, right? Like know your target avatar, as you just called it in your talk earlier on. I was wondering, what are some misconceptions that you keep hearing about niching down, and what are the things that actually matter when you get started?
Yeah, so going for a niche means that you will only focus on a limited part of the market. But that doesn't mean that you need to have just one product. You can have many different products that attract different parts of the market. So if that is one product that is for CFOs on how they can grow in their personality, that might be interesting to some CFOs. And then another product that is for CFOs on how they can be better for their company. That's an interest to other individuals, other personas or other avatars, as we talked about earlier. So don't limit yourself, but stay where it's comfortable for you in the beginning. And then as you grow, your clients will evolve with you in the same way as you actually learn from your clients. Because with all the experience you have, you will bring things forward that happened in the past that maybe you have forgotten about, but when they start talking about their situation, you can bring up examples and situations from the past that validate the thought, validate the concept, or validate a direction.
Got it. And you mentioned when you grow. So my question to you is, how do we grow as coaches? What are those things that we need to be aware of in our growth journey?
So, growth as coaches is two different things. One thing is the work you do, the other thing is the product you sell. And the product you sell can be expanded, as we talked about, in different types, different flavors, if we may call it. But then also, the product we sell, we want that product to be attractive to another dimension, if we may call it. Like, how can you get from having one client to 10 or 100? And to address that, we need to step a little bit further into what your journey looks like today. Like, how did you get your first client? What can you do to get that client to innovate, be your ambassador? And what can you learn from that client? What is that client's avatar? You already know the person, but if you take that type of person and the position they were in when they reached out, or when you reached out to them and they agreed to buy your product, how can you identify other people that might be in that situation or soon will be in that situation? So don't try to break new boundaries. Try to do what already worked once and do it on repeat in the beginning. And then as you progress, you can start questioning what other methods to do. But at first, you need to start with a business, and then you can progress from there on.
Got it. And I'm going to touch a bit on the marketing side of things. And I wanted to ask you, when it comes to building your brand and being, let's say, consistent with your messaging, what should they focus on, let's say, in terms of bringing parts of their personality within their marketing? Or how should they present themselves to the world in the way that can bring them, let's say, the desired result, whether that is clients, contacts, or...
So if we look at like the video store, for example, that doesn't really exist any longer. But when we did go to a store to rent a video, in many times we went to the top list and we looked at number one, and then we went down and we started to look at like, okay, so how many awards did these different movies get? And we compare the ones that had probably the most different golden icons on them. And then when we had an understanding, okay, so this is better picked up by their audience than other ones, then we started to read on the back. It's not too different with coaches. Like, how can you validate the quality of your product? Obviously with testimonials, maybe with your education, maybe with the background you have, the companies you work with, maybe with your actual client doing a video testimonial, or having them in other ways be your marketing funnel.
Okay, that's indeed, I really like that analogy over there.
The Code Tribe podcast is powered by Pensight. I want to take this opportunity to tell you more about Pensight and how much value it can provide you and your coaching business.
Pensight is an all-in-one platform for coaches and educators that enables you to quickly and easily build a highly credible page and sell your knowledge with one-to-one sessions, group coaching, courses, Q&As, digital products, and bundles. Payments, scheduling, video calling, client communications, and everything else is taken care of.
All it takes is 5 minutes to set up, and it's free. It's the smartest way to kickstart your coaching business. Sign up to Pensight today at pensight.com.
Now, I'm touching on lots of things right now just because Karl has so much experience on so many areas that are really important to your journey right now that I don't know exactly how to get more and more out of him. Now, you know what? I'm going to ask you about the business side, Karl, because you are a business person yourself. And it's hard to, to first of all create a business and then to scale a business. It can be overwhelming. You'd have to combine personal with professional, lots of challenges. And there's a lot of overwhelm because in many situations, I can be an amazing coach. I can be the best in terms of knowledge, but I might not be a marketing person. I might not, have those, let's say, entrepreneurial skills. I might not know time management or how to organize my schedule. So, how can people, be aware of this business side that is needed in order to be successful, and what can they do to leverage it? Or should they, lots of questions over here, should they reach out to people for help if they don't want to do it, or should they really go through that journey themselves?
Yeah. So it's very much about doing what you do best. And I have been talking about this for many, many years. Like, you should not do the things that holds you back. Like, from a creative point of view, from an energy point of view, whatever areas that doesn't work for you, you should try to outsource that, or look at maybe how to remove it even. Like, if that is an obstacle that messes with your mind, your creative energy, or the flow, then try to see what you can do to remove that. There's many options of how to outsource things, and using online platforms, you can either automate it, or you can find someone online that do that chore for you.
Follow-up question. So this has been, let's say, a controversial topic lately, in the sense that there are those people who say, okay, you know what, you don't need to know marketing, you don't need to know sales, or depend, you can outsource that. And there are those who say, maybe you should first learn it yourself, do it yourself, learn those principles, so that you can then know what you're outsourcing, what to ask from those people, what to expect. What's your view on this?
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. But I agree on a flavor point of view, like not with the entire bite. I believe that you need to understand the process. You understand the basics of it, so that you can go to anyone and say these are the requirements. Because if you're not specific on the requirements, you're probably going to spend a lot of money on getting things that you don't need. So yes, you need to understand the process, but you don't need to understand how to do it. And that's the difference, I think. Like, get someone to do it as long as you have a plan, a structure that you want to apply.
Got it. And that makes sense. So I hope you all took a note of that. Now, another.
Sorry. To add to that, whatever you do, think of ROI, return on investment. Like, if you buy a service, either you should get time back, or you should get more than you invested in return buyers of your product, basically. So maybe that doesn't happen straight away, but whoever you work with, you should be clear with them on, I expect this of you. Or turn it around and say, what can you do for me, so that I can see if it's worth investing in you.
Got it. Now, to add to that, another topic to approach, Karl. You go to lots of conferences, events all over the world. And networking, I guess it's a big part of what you do. I wanted to ask you, how can coaches leverage networking to position themselves, to get clients, to get exposure, visibility, build trust, authority? How can they use these conferences or the power of networking for that?
Yeah, that is a sensible area, because, like, speaking at events like this, yes, it builds credibility and trust in a way, as long as I don't sell. But all of us want to sell in a way. But I personally don't go on stage and say, buy my product at any point. I basically finish my talk. Like, if anyone want to have a conversation more about this, or if you want to work with me, then tell me. Not go to my website and buy my product now. Because I believe more in building a relationship on a long-term basis than getting them to click on that buy button.
Love that. And you said building relationships. I know that there are people, who might go and have these events and speak, or might go to conferences, but they don't actually know how to build those relationships. When the talk is done, they're gone. When the event, they just scroll around. How can they actually make those connections? How can they build those relationships? Any tips from your experience, do's and don'ts?
Yeah, so if we look at what the book says, like the process of building these relationships and actually getting the output of a buying incentive, or the concept of getting a customer to buy from you, the book says take them on a journey, tell them what the end experience will be, but have the car crash halfway through. Like, show them the path, but don't show them all the valuable stuff on stage. I personally believe in just showing everything. Like, if they feel that they are energized enough from me, then they will probably get back to me. Maybe not today, maybe not next month even, because they already got so much valuable insight and tools and methods that will keep them busy for a while. But then in a year, when their company is at that stage that I talked about on stage, they will get back, and they will be happy to get back, because I have not pushed them to actually buy the product. They do it on their own, with their own idea of what value that can bring.
Got it. But I guess it would be important to, send that message indirectly on what you're doing, right? Like, okay, you're going to have that talk, but at the end, people should know who are you and why should they reach out to you, or what do you do, right?
Yeah. And that is always a challenge. Like, especially at events like this, where people go to talks, and most of the talks on stage is about a product. And that product has a price and a set of features. And when I speak on stage, I don't market anything. I just give away knowledge and experience. And that's how I chosen to build my long-term relationships with these potential clients. Basically a long-term process of warming up the leads.
Okay. And since we're here on the point of talking on the stage, Karl, any tips from one of the best speakers out there on public speaking, how to put yourself out there, how to have that confidence on the stage, look into the eyes of the audience and really, make them understand and take that desired action that you want?
Yeah, so for me, it's all about creating that energy. And the energy of feeling nervous and the energy of feeling excited is very closely connected.
Mm-hmm.
For most people, the emotion of feeling nervous is something that we recorded and translated in our mind as scary as children. So when we were a child, things happen, especially going up in front of a class, doing a presentation, where you had expectations. You knew everyone in the audience, and you knew that they would react this way. Or maybe you didn't actually know, but you expected that that guy will react like that, and that girl will react to that, like that, to whatever I have to say. And you're told to talk on topics that the teacher picked, or that maybe are not that relevant to you, that maybe you don't really have that energy towards.
That spark.
Yeah, that spark, that interest. But when we talk on stages like this one, it's all about my experience, all about what I believe in, and no one can question what I believe in. And the audience will feel that positive energy towards them, and I will feel the energy back. And that energy in the room, and that buzz or that feeling that normal people or most people would explain as being nervous, I see that as being excited. So I translated that, or I hacked that emotion and say, no, that's never nervous to me. So whenever there's a feeling that makes me, let's call it tingling, I know that this is something interesting. This is something new, something exciting, something that will push me a little bit outside my comfort zone. Even though I really love this, it is something that I don't do every day. I do it often, but it's not like buying milk.
So he drinks milk every day. So, okay, and any techniques that we can use to actually, put that stress out there, deal with it. You shared one little tip with me just before. Can you share it with the audience as well?
Yeah. So a very simple method is just bend your knees. Like go and bend your knees quite much. And one thing that happens when we are nervous is that we stiffen up. Like our joints stiffen up. So bend your knees and move a little bit, and you see that your body is starting to be more relaxed. The next thing is that don't stand by a podium, because then you stiffen up, because you're standing there and you don't know what to do with your hands, and then all of a sudden you're starting like holding on to the podium like it's a boat out at a rough sea. So get away from the podium and try to not have a microphone in your hand, because then again you have to hold it like this and you stiffen up more and more after a while, and then again you have this thing that you also need to control, because if it's too far away from the mouth, then the audio will not reach to the speakers, so the audience won't hear you. So instead have a lapel mic or a headset microphone, so you can use your arms and be relaxed about it.
Got it. And anything on breath work? I hear a lot about that lately. Breath work, any sort of meditation, deep breaths that you do, or you can do it without.
I think that everybody have to find their own recipe. I don't do that kind of work. I do meditation. I use metal nails that I love when I'm super stressed for work, but not for the speaking things. When basically I have too much to do and I work too many hours per day in long periods of time, then I know how to actually push my body and my muscles to relax.
Okay, love that. And now I think one last topic that I would like to approach is, we mentioned earlier relationship building. I want to ask you specifically, when we interact with people, how can I build that relationship at an event like this? Maybe it's someone who is, let's say, one level higher than me. Maybe someone 5 level higher. Maybe someone at the same level I want to collaborate. How can I, build that genuine relationship, maybe without asking for things in the first place? How should I look at it long term? What should I do with a relationship when it's just beginning?
Yeah, so at first try to connect with the person. See what they are looking for and listen. In the beginning, maybe don't sell so much. Maybe don't talk so much. See what they have to say and understand what they're looking for. And then they will be more relaxed about having that conversation with you, because obviously you're listening.
But what should I do? Let's say I meet you here today. We click, many people just click, or we don't. But I want to follow up, should I invite you for a virtual coffee? What would be a next good step that I can do to build that relationship with you?
At first, obviously, always connect on LinkedIn. That's always valuable. And then start to think of it as a long tail. It's not something that happens just now. It's something that is a process. So start with a connection on LinkedIn, send some information, have them show or see your feed. And then eventually they will get to the point like, okay, so this feels good. Let's have that conversation that we talked about having. But don't force forward and say, yeah, I need to book this in my calendar right now.
You heard Karl. Now, last tips for our coaches out there. Anything on the top of your mind that you would really like them to know? Any sort of challenge that you see happening again and again? What should they remember from this conversation?
You are probably used to doing what you do, but experiment. Try new things. Because what you do is probably working good or great even, but you should try new platforms, new ways of interacting with people and so on. Like, you never know what's actually around that corner. So take a look.
Gotcha. And one fire question your way. what is something that you would do differently if you were to start all over again your journey?
That's a really difficult question. Um, I would probably try to outsource more and build a team that have that drive together with me sooner than I did in the beginning.
And one more. There's a billboard over there. Can you see it? Can you look at it? You can write one message for all these people to see and hear. What would you write?
Find your positive energy.
What a better way to end this episode than to
Find your positive energy.
find your positive energy. Karl, this has been an immense pleasure. I am so happy we did this. I am so happy we shared our energy with the audience today. And a big thank you from me and from the audience.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Till next time. Hope you enjoyed this episode.
We'll be releasing every Wednesday, so make sure to
Subscribe.
and rate us 5 stars where you're listening to this show to give others a chance to discover it too.
What better way to end this episode, ladies and gentlemen, than
Thank you.
find your positive energy.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Let's do that again then.